welcome to Deeksha Vedantu. I'm your Aditi Ma'am, and bacha, in this video I am going to tell you something very important. Now we all have been studying science from quite a long time, right? And we all know that physics, chemistry and biology are very different subjects inside the science, right? And there is a different approach that we need to study these subjects. So physics has a lot of numericals, lots of concepts, chemistry has lots of equation, bio has a lots of theory and so many hard names. So you cannot use the same approach to study all these three, right? So in this video I am going to tell you the exact approach my students use and I have used in my classes as well, that made me score 10 CGPA. So I am the right person to tell you this, right? Now, starting with the very first bacha, when we talk about science, right, we talk about biology, and biology looks like something which is very scary. And you look at something, and most kids say after studying 9th and 10th biology, they're like, I will take anything but not bio in class 11th, right? That's because we don't approach the subject the way it wants us to approach it, right? So today I am going to tell you some very nitty-gritty parts that you need to follow that can like keep you ahead of the whole class, right? Now, if you look into bio, there are lots of theories, lots of diagrams on human anatomy, sorry, lots of major keywords, right? So in biology, we heavily focus on keywords. So first, let's see how to start reading it. Now, I've written read it like a novel or a movie. When you go through the human anatomy, when we go through digestive system, what do? We study about mouth, then we move to esophagus, then stomach, small intestine, large intestine, then rectum, then anus, right? So it's a chronological order, just like a normal movie, right? Where you see at the things, then they are starting, then some relationships are building, something the story is building, and then it goes to the climax, right? That's how you should study bio. You should see it like a process and read it like a novel in the starting, okay? Don't sit with bio and see, okay, now I will remember all the major keywords today. You can't. Let me tell you the truth, okay? Because beta, this is not some lyrics. Even you see, even you listen music, you don't remember the lyrics in the one go. You listen it again and again and again, and that's what you have to do in science, right? So we have to give it time, but we can start with on a very light mood, that is read it like a novel, like a movie, like you're trying to understand it, what is actually happening, right? Then only you can like cram all the things, right? Next bacha, in that what we have to do, we have to study the core concepts, like first very basic. Cells, what are the cell organelles, what is the nucleus, how is the structure of the cell, what are tissues, what is digestion, right? So all you have to study from the very basic. Then bacha only we will move to questions. Now in questions we will study NCERT questions. So I am taking so many lives for you, right? Both for class 10th and class 9th. So we will be doing all the NCERT questions, all the previous year questions, most repeated questions. So make sure you are subscribing the channel and joining the WhatsApp channel link below, because you will get all the schedule on the YouTube as well, okay? Every day we are putting all the schedule, so you'll know which live is on which day, okay? Now for the question, what we'll do, we'll start with NCERT, okay? Let me get my pen. We will start with NCERT beta, then we will move on to NCERT first, okay? Then only we will move to PYQ. So you see how much stuff you will learn just by doing the questions, just by doing the previous year questions. Done? Now remembering the diagram. Now I will post a video very soon, so make sure you subscribe again, but I will not say anymore. Now I will post a video very soon on giving so many tricks. I have gotten so many tricks to learn all the almost diagrams of biology, right? So we'll start with the first chapters and then go by that. So look at those tricks, remember those tricks, write them on a form, write them on a sheet, paste it on in front of your desk and revise it with those tricks, because it will make the thing easy to learn, right? Now bacha, next we have active recall. Now I don't think I need to tell you what active recall is. You revise it again and again, you recall it, you question yourself if you understood it, you try to teach it to someone else, and you write that down, you write the things down. That's how you use maximum senses to learn, and you will learn a lot better. Okay, that's how our human body works. Okay, so yes, it does involve a lot of memorization, diagrams, processes, some hard words, but if you follow this approach from the day one, from the day you are seeing this video at least, then it will be very easy for you. Okay, now these are diagram and important points sheet. Now after I give you the trick and all, you do make a sheet. Okay, you do make a, what sheet is this? This is a summary sheet. This is a summary sheet. Or let's say you have to make the summary of digestive system. So you will simply write what? You will simply write mouth. In that we do mechanical chewing through teeth, and then esophagus, right? And then we move to stomach and small intestine, large intestine. So write the basic structure, and inside you can explain with your proper notes. But on a single formula, or not formula sheet, on a single sheet, a summary sheet, you write the summary. Okay, now bacha, next we have physics. Now physics is something that is a little bit difficult on the basis of what? Numericals. Ma'am, there are so many numericals, there are so many concepts, right? So how do we do it? Beta, first is the first thing, and this actually is not very specific to physics. The first thing you have to do is ask questions. What's the story behind this problem? I have given you a problem that Usha is swimming in a swimming pool of this much length, how much distance or displacement she covered. What are the ray diagrams? There is a ray coming from sunlight and solar cooker is trying to focus it. So what actually has happened? Try to ask that reasoning. Try to ask the reason behind it, or story behind it, as you want to call it. Okay, so that is the first thing you have to do. Some of the questions I'm just telling you to ask yourself so that you understand the subject better. Okay, who is moving? Usha is moving. Okay, what? She is swimming. Okay, so this is not a car or something, but we can have initial velocity, final velocity, with what acceleration she is swimming, right? Then what's acting on them? What is the force acting on them? Now this might not be specific to your class 9, right? But there is a buoyancy force, right? So you can just be curious about that. But then what is happening? If she is continue to accelerate, then she is accelerating. Or if she is moving with the same acceleration. So all that things we have to ask ourselves. When and why do they stop? So obviously there is a pool length, there is 10 meters, she has to stop. But how did she stop, right? And what was the time taken for her to cover that pool? So all those things come under asking questions about physics, because it is like a mystery. So you have to try to solve it and take very fun and take it in a light way. Okay, if you put so much pressure on yourself, then that will just make the things worse. Okay, so for now, just like approach it with like a novel, like a mystery novel. Okay, let's say, so approach it like you are reading a mystery novel. So you are uncovering the truths one by one after asking questions like a detective. Okay, now in physics I do have some specific points. See, as soon as for numericals, basically physics is very considered to be a very big thing, right, in numericals. So first you have to do, draw it out or write as you read. This is like the motto of my physics class. Okay, write as you read. So as you see the question, you write it, you read it, and okay, Usha is swimming with this velocity. Okay, so you write the velocity, this is the acceleration, this is the distance she covered or displacement she covered. So you write everything down. This is the ray diagram, we use convex mirror, so you write convex mirror, and with that I told you to write down the sign of the focal length. Then the image distance is given v, you will write. Then the object distance is given u, that you will write. What I am trying to say, you follow this method, given values to find, then solution. So you write whatever is given, u or v or focal length or your displacement or your initial velocity, final velocity, right? So these are the things you have to take care of. You have to draw it out. They are saying that a bus is moving in a straight line. So you draw the bus. You draw the bus. You can use bus as a particle. You can draw it. Okay, it traveled 15 meter and it took a break. It went back 5 meter. So you travel it out. Now you can clearly see that the displacement is just 10 meter and the distance is 20 meters. So how easy it becomes. Okay, when you visualize things, we always say when you visualize things, when you look at the diagrams, the graphs, it becomes easier, right? So you draw it out, you write as you read and you follow the structure. Then what you have to find? You have to find magnification or you have to find initial velocity, right? So all these things you write down and then bacha, you pick the right formula. How will you pick the right formula? By practicing the questions, by coming to Aditi Ma'am's live. Okay, by coming to Aditi Ma'am's live, which is when? Mostly it's every Wednesday for 10th class. Okay, at what? 5 p.m. Okay, and every Thursday again 5 p.m. every Thursday we have a live for 9th class. Don't worry, right now the frequency is a little bit low because of course we are in vacations and there's a chill mode going on, right? But as soon as the paper pick up, your class test starts, we will increase the frequency of live. I'll come to live more frequently for you to study science every day. Okay, now bacha, okay, so this is what you have to do. Pick the right formula. How will you? Again, coming back to live and practicing the questions. Okay, then you substitute the given values. These are the given values. Now you have clarified these are the given values, so you substitute and then we write answer in a box. That is very, very important. This is a very important point. Right now bacha, moving on to last, that is your chemistry. Ma'am, there are so many chemical equations, so many formulas, so many balancing. What should I do? Okay, again move to the basic part. Calm yourself down, move to the basic part. So first you understand the basics. What I mean by basics, how to write a chemical formula. There is a video on the channel, go watch that, how to write the chemical formula. I have explained it in a very, very easy way and I have practiced, like given so many questions to practice and solved with solution in that video. So you can go watch that out so that you understand how things work. There is reactivity series, what are metals, non-metals, so go watch that out. Okay, and then how to balance chemical equation. Again, there is a video on the channel, go watch how to exactly balance chemical equations. Still you have any doubt, come to the live sessions. Okay, next bacha, understand the activities and experiments properly. We know how important these activities are, both on the boards basis, both on the examination basis, but also bacha on the understanding basis. If I do the experiment in front of you, obviously you will understand better, and that's what these activities are for. Okay, so make sure you are giving so much time on activities. When I was in 9th or 10th class, I used to hate activities because I never understood them, because somehow there were not enough resources for us to understand those things. But right now you have all the resources. I will put up so many shots of these activities, so make sure you follow along and you'll learn in such a fun way, in such a activity manner, experimental way, that you won't even have to put efforts to understand things, right? So that's one thing you have to do. Then make a clean, neat flow chart or tables. Beta, in chemistry, there are lots of differences. There are lots of things that you need to remember. Types of bases, types of acids, types of salts, chemical reactions, balancing reactions, types of solutions, right? So how will you remember that? Again, visualization. What we'll do, we'll remember that true solution, colloidal and suspension. Now how do I remember? I just remember that from 9th class, true solution is always on this right hand side, colloidal is on the center, and suspension is always on the left hand side. So I just have remembered. If we did it again, I'll probably still write the activities again, because that's the power of visualization. And if you practice again and again, you will know. Now it's literally engraved in my mind that true solution is always on this side, right? So that's how you have to make tables, you have to make diagrams, you have to make flow charts, right? Of course, when we balance reactions. I told you to go watch that video, trust me, you'll thank me. Okay, so when we balance the chemical equations, again we make the tables, right? When we do the chemical formulas, again we pass so many arrows, we see what are the chemical reactivity series and all that, how to remember that. So make sure you are putting a little bit effort towards your studies, okay? Because if you put your efforts now, bacha, you'll reap the benefits in your boards, and I can write it down for you that this is true. Okay, that is it for this video. Now in this video you have seen something that a lot of people won't, that a lot of students won't care to take care of anything, right? But if you see the difference between chemistry, biology and physics, you will understand how important it is to give them the proper attention they need, right? We talk about acts of love, right? Something like that. Love languages, right? So these are their love languages. Okay, bio wants you to study it in a different way, chemistry wants you to study it in a different way, physics want you to study in a different way. So give them what they need, and in return you will understand science in such a beautiful way that you won't even think, that you won't even ever consider. Okay, so make sure you subscribe this channel for more such videos. I'm your Aditi Ma'am, and I'll meet you in the next one. Bye.